leverage. So I don't mind at all, briefings being in the open so that everyone hears the situation on the ground, but I sometimes do believe that consultations are better held among ourselves, so for interactivity, etc. But so we're just trying to strike that balance, and as I said, even if we are meeting in close consultations, we will also always be available to speak to you about what we find are the commonalities inside the Security Council. Right. Cameroon. Oh, on Cameroon, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a worrisome situation, and I believe there was. I missed it myself, but there was it was raised with Mr. Fall. I don't remember the date. Now you were here, Carl. Perhaps a week or two ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So it's not that the council has not been informed about it. There are some situations, such as the one in Cameroon, that we'll need to keep an eye on, and we are certainly ready to do that. It's just that we have not scheduled it right now, but whatever events on the ground that merits a Security Council debate, we are absolutely open to it. I also want to say that we are in constant conversation with the Secretary General and the Secretariat about this prevention agenda and how it's best dealt with between the Secretary General and the Security Council. The luncheon being one of those elements where we are asking the Secretary General to feel very free to bring up issues that may not be on the agenda, but that he sees merits a certain awareness or attention by the Security Council.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Mr. Ambassador, can you confirm, please, did Sweden invite parties in Yemen to hold maybe negotiations in Sweden? And two, the situation in southern Syria. Like, we don't see that there is a sense of urgency in the Council about their situation in the Council.
Thank you. And Ambassador, best of luck with this month. I have two questions. The first one is about the debate on 11th. Can you please tell me the reason the Iraqi minister is invited and the relevance of the climate issue to the situation in Iraq? And the second one is about Iran. Will there be anything about Iran this month? And has the U.S. suggested anything with regard to the protest and the internal turmoil in Iran? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. On Yemen, no. What we're doing is simply to a constant conversation with Martin Griffiths and the Secretary General about their efforts. And as President of the Security Council, we've said that we are ready to play any part we can in support their efforts. That's where we stand on that. On Syria, we certainly agree with your description of the dramatic situation in Syria, and not least in the southwest. And I'm actually going to meet with Mark Lowcock just after we finished here to have a briefing for me on the humanitarian situation there and elsewhere in the world. So, and we did raise it. I hope you heard Sweden raising it when we discussed with Staffan de Mistura only a week ago the situation there. So in the open meeting, so we are not letting go. And I think that is the message also to the Syrian population. It just reflects again what I started out by saying: the divisions, the failure of the Security Council to having dealt with the situation in Syria properly in the beginning, and also the disastrous humanitarian consequences of conflict. I'm sorry that we cannot fix it from one day to the other, but we're going to be very attentive to do what we can, including in the situation there and in Afrin, etc. Iran has not been, I'm not aware of any request for Iran to be raised, particularly by the United States or anyone else. Or on Iraq. Well, we have, as I said, I mean, we have been very attentive to countries' concerns when it comes to climate and security, and Iraq has presented this concern they have. and they apparently have a minister who is very vocal and very active on this, and so we thought that it's good to have a country that is on the agenda already to also explain this added aspect of a conflict situation that relates to climate. No, that's not the ambition at all. It's more the general concept of how climate is affecting also security challenges inside countries.
Okay, next question over here, please.
Thank you. Ambassador, the Conference on Children in Armed Conflict, will you be linking to that the number of children who are suffering among the migrants that are trying to escape from conflict in Africa, many of whom are drowning in the Mediterranean, and that very tragic situation, children trying to get into the United States? Well, you know how horrible that situation is, but many of them are trying to escape from countries which have had horrific wars, and many of those wars were instigated by the United States. So, I mean, that's I realize it's a dicey question, but it has to be dealt with.
Rhonda Haubin, and I'm a blog columnist at taz.de, die Tageszeitung. And my question is, something very special is happening on the Korean Peninsula. And I don't see the Security Council doing anything to give any positive support to it. And I'm wondering, is that, that the Security Council won't do that? Or is there any thought, I wonder what Sweden thinks about this in terms of showing that there is a sense in the UN that we want peace, that this situation would be wonderful to be resolved, and there are many forces working towards that. Is there some way that this presidency can put some encouragement into that as well? Where do you see the support from the UN coming that would be helpful, because it's needed? And thank you.
Could I just ask a follow-up directly to that? As Joseph Klein of Canada Free Press, was there any discussion so far in your consultations on that subject regarding the possibility of easing sanctions in North Korea, as China and Russia have suggested? Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I should take the DPRK question first. There has not been any, as a matter of fact, there has not been any consultations on the DPRK after the Singapore meeting. Sweden agrees that the Council should deal with issues not just when they are problematic, but also to encourage positive developments. So just to say that we are talking to the most concerned countries about how and when and in what way the Security Council and